Hello, Exiles. It is very, very early day 3 of 0.3. Third Edict, Rise of the Abyssals, and the Kitchen Sink 2 League. And it's been a bait and switch. You know, let's not beat around the bush. We were promised a whole lot, and we got everything was like 20% less than what we were expecting. And if you were playing certain classes, it was a negative amount somehow. But we're not going to talk about that. We're here for the build update. We are putting ice on our people and screaming real loud about it. Making giant overlapping explosions. And it's been pretty fun so far. Going off of like the entire breadth of builds that people were trying, I'd say this is like a little middle of the road as far as the leveling experience went. Compared to some, it was luxury. Compared to Deadeye, nothing is good. So that's kind of the situation right now. The balance is out of whack. But if you're playing minions or you're playing a Lich or an Infernalist, etc., which you know how it is, we're an Infernalist. Not third ascended yet. I only like just got my first Barrier to even try, so that'll be something I'm working on soon. The tree that I had originally designed has changed quite a bit. Partly because I've run into things where I was like, okay, this is really good for the build. Also partly because we got new toys on the tree and I want them. Specifically, we grabbed this cast speed here. This cast speed wheel is very nice because it comes with Chaos Res, which synergizes with our Ascendancy here to help us take less physical damage because we have 36% Chaos Res, which I'm not sure how that went down. Oh, I had a helmet, right. Well, we have 36% Chaos Res, so that's turning, I don't know, it's like 7% phys damage reduction currently, and then the lack of lightning res is being covered by that being converted to fire. The gearing situation is a little rough, you know? That's just what it is. Remarkably, this build has not died a single time in maps. It died a few times while leveling because, you know, I was running into a bunch of new bosses and whatnot, and we're all gonna encounter stuff and some nasty Act 4 bugs, no less. Also, the final... I hope you haven't run into this. I don't know if they fixed it yet, but Zolan and Zelina in the third interlude, they heal when they hit you, and they don't discriminate from your minions, which means a single combo, Zelina can go from like 25% health remaining back to full health. It's terrifying. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. I got acid reflux so bad at the end of the fight, I thought I was having a heart attack. Oh my god!
As much as I'd love.
I've discovered the hard mode of the fight. I think I'm about to have a heart attack, dude.
The cold phrase?
I'm actually glad they just keep beating on him now.
You seem sane enough.
Because my heart was hammering at the same time. It was awful. I wouldn't recommend that. Hopefully they've done something. I've checked the hotfixes and stuff. I don't know that I've seen it mentioned yet, but you can get through it if you are very, very careful and control what Zelina is doing. Either that or just farm a lot and get enough damage where you can kind of trivialize the fight, which is very doable because at the time I had like +0 minion levels and just not all my gems were leveled up, my supports were suboptimal. There was a lot going on. Things have improved now though, so let's start with gear, right? I've kind of been giving you the tree. I'm gonna have a POB down in the description if you want to like look at this stuff in depth, and POB has its own issues, so there's like pieces of equipment missing from the import, but the tree will all be there, and I think that's the most important thing right now, as well as kind of my gem setups. So, I just bought this because I just realized with the way I was setting things up, I could actually get rid of the spirit roll, which meant I could go right for damage and minion levels, which should be a huge power increase. I'm going to do like a map run real quick in a moment, and we'll see that. I just got this helmet the other day, so I've gotten I got +5 minion levels going across my skills. That should be the most important thing. For this build, like overall, because it's not just damage, it's minion survivability, which has been an issue lately. So I have level 14 gems, but a lot of my, oh, I'm sorry, this is level 16 because it's from the scepter. I have level 14 gems, but now pretty much everything, unless it doesn't have a +1 level support in yet, is level 20. Otherwise it's level 19, like the zombies here. Outside of that, I'm basically just trying to get life and resistance gear together. Chaos Res is a premium because that effectively is also physical damage reduction for us. So like my boots have Chaos Res, but they're bad overall. My ring doesn't actually have a roll, it just has the implicit. I have obviously a little bit from the passive tree here. The build has been surprisingly well survivable though, because minions are just good for that. All that said though, the big upgrades that I need to be focusing right now, and I think everyone should focus on, is getting some spirit from your chest, which, considering my spirit count currently, that roll is actually a bit mandatory. And getting it on your amulet as well would be like very, very helpful just to have more minions going. But outside of that, you're really just trying to meet your stat requirements, get your resistances up. You know, it's early mapping stuff. It's pretty basic. But yes, the biggest bonuses you can get are allies in your presence. I'm sorry, in order, it would be minion skilled levels, allies in your presence deal damage, and then probably spirit. Because if I had a good spirit roll on this, I could probably add an entire another. I could add multiple skeleton warriors or an entire another brute to the build, which would be very good. Outside of that, life is obviously very good, and the armor applies to elemental damage stat does seem to be pretty potent, because again, I have 47% lightning res. A percentage of it is converted to fire, right? So 20%. And then that. And you'd think at 47%, right? I'm basically taking 100% more lightning damage than someone who has 75%. I'm doing pretty well, although I do also have a charm, so don't neglect your charms. They do help. Now, I was interested to find, at least in the mapping experience, having a lot of skeleton warriors is not that useful. Long term, having a lot of skeleton warriors for like a single target situation probably gets a lot better, because it is just difficult to spin up extra minions in boss fights. It's actually kind of an ongoing issue with the build overall, because I have more or less given up on the idea of sacrifice. And the reason why I've given up on the idea of sacrifice is because you can kill your own minions with Unearth if you're not careful. And that's more hassle than it's worth. I could still run it to like spin up before entering a boss arena, which is entirely viable and probably something I will do because it's easy enough to set that up. But outside of that, we're kind of just, you know, scaling. And I think the build is kind of getting close to a point where I'm not going to have to worry about it. Because, again, I did so much of the game kind of deficient. I did so much of the game kind of deficient on levels. I had like no plus levels the entire time while leveling. I couldn't get it on my scepter. The video game didn't want to give it to me. So I'm a little, we'll say, bullish on the prospect of the build going forward, because again, huge power increases. I could immediately learn in the middle of recording the video in a moment that this +3 all minion skills did nothing, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. Outside of that, we're just looking to make the best use of our things as we can. Currently, I actually have my Infernal Hound set for damage. Whole bunch of damage supports in him. I might switch to loyalty at some point, but I haven't needed it. You know, the survivability is good enough without running that support and offloading some of the damage to it. So that's Fire Attunement, Muster, Elemental Armament 2, Searing Flame 2. So just damage and then kind of leaning into the Ignite AoE aura because, you know, it's pretty nice for clear. Skeletons, Heavy Swing, Rapid Attacks 2, Muster, Physical Mastery. Basic stuff. Unearth has Brutality, Minion Mastery, and Muster. These might get changed at some point. I'm not sure to what, but having the Unearth minions stay alive is probably much more valuable than having them deal damage. So I might drop Brutality for Meat Shield, which opens them up to other sorts of damage scaling, but also the damage they do isn't that great, but the damage they contribute to the combo is immense. That's when we get to the situation where we're 1 or 2 tapping a rare, just like it's nothing. Ray Zombie is currently Brutality 2, Rapid Attacks, Muster. I don't actually use Ray Zombie all that much yet. I'm kind of thinking I need to find a little more help. Specifically, I think Profane Ritual needs reduced duration on it. And maybe I need something for even more cast speed than I currently have, just to streamline that process a bit. We have a decent amount of buttons to push, and I know that, you know, Po2 is supposed to be a more button-heavy game. And sure, I get use out of it, but more or less, zombies are for when you run into a very high AoE DPS enemy, and you're like, oh, everything I have is dying instantly. Retreating and using Profane Ritual to get some power charges for that, you know, that rare outcome where you're dealing with an incredibly punishing rare, or like a boss. This can be very, very potent for that. The empowered zombies are incredibly strong. It's just, most of the time, keeping Unearth at maximum, right? So this is limit 20, and then from our passive tree we get another +2. 22 Unearth minions while you're doing the combo is going to blow up the screen like everywhere. So we don't really need to worry about that too much. This is worthwhile. It's just finding places for it can be a little bit clunky or unintuitive. Skeletal Brute is our all-star. He's the one who shatters. The shatter is what does the damage. Currently it's, 200 to 300 more or less. We have Muster, we have Cold Attunement, we have Physical Mastery, which is all good. Cold Attunement does work because the downside does not affect physical. This actually works just fine. It also doesn't affect Chaos, which is kind of cool for things like this node, which we don't have yet. So that's really heads up fantastic support, honestly. I really kind of love how that works with Shattering Roar and whatnot. And then we got this. We got Kurgel's Leash. So my minions will gain Unholy Might for 5 seconds when commanded, which is another 30% of all damage is extra chaos. This was a very cool drop to find. I found this in depths. I didn't kill a boss. It was just, I think it was from the Trove at the end, and that was a big pop-off moment. I was like, oh, I got one. And not only did I get one, but I got one that might be really good for the build. I have no idea what this is worth. In fact, I'm going to look it up. It's worth 1 alch. You can have this too. It's cheap. Good. I'm glad I can recommend it. And then lastly, to round things out, because our combo is so heavily based in that big cold explosion, we run the Curse Elemental Weakness. I am very bad about remembering to use this right now. But you're probably sitting there thinking, well, what about vulnerability, right? We have all these brutes doing physical damage as well. We also have the warriors, the unearthed minions, possibly the zombies up. We don't need to worry about that because Splintering Force was added. And this is incredible. It's not quick for them to break the armor completely, but they break the armor. Yeah, so vulnerability is not quite as important as it used to be. Armor break will eventually happen, and it's getting quicker, I find, as time goes on, as my brutes get stronger. This is stacking up quicker and quicker, and if you have empowered zombies out, this will actually stack up very quickly. And then the added benefit is they take 20% increased physical damage from hits when the armor breaks, so it's like kind of just better than vulnerability overall. Now, continuing onward, we are still very early in the character's lifespan. I've only done like a handful of maps so far. So we're just gonna throw in like a really basic tier 1 map to show off real quick. The game hits you with a difficulty spike when you go from the interludes to the mapping. I noticed in my first map, things were a bit rough, which is part of why I postponed the video. You know what? I'm actually realizing I did not go over the supports in Frost Mage or Profanate Ritual. I don't know why I skipped them. We have Magnified Area, we have Bidding 3, we're all in on cooldown recovery, and we have Last Gasp to ensure that they're around as often as possible. The Frost Mages, you only need a couple of them with Bidding 3, and they kind of just, they exist to apply the buff. That's most of their job. And then Profane Ritual, Charge Perfusion, Unleash. This is very good because it helps auto-target additional corpses around the first one, and Rapid Casting. But I'm probably going to change that to less duration, so that it goes off more quickly. So build simple, put on ice, hit button, and get Unearth going. So that was a rare. He died pretty quickly. I wasn't really focusing on the DPS. As you stack up, damage starts going way higher, and I'm going to be getting used to new mana costs because I just increased the level of all my skills. I'm giga hindered, but things are working just fine. We're right into an Abyss. And I can already tell this is going much smoother than usual because the problem with Abysses is usually things can die. And there's an Abyss rare who's got Volatile Souls, which is very spooky. But they're dead, so who cares? And yeah, you keep your ice armors going. Between the Bidding 3 on the Frost Mages and the quantity of brutes we're running, this actually works pretty well. Like as far as uptime is concerned. There's another rare dying casually off screen. It gets the job done, you know? I'm starting to get very comfy with it. I had to invest a little bit of money to get it to this spot, but I feel like, you know, rounding out some of my equipment to have me be a little more survivable, this thing's ready to go right up through maps, no problem. We're like, we're in go mode now. That's a fun little thing. If you get your minions to stack up on an Abyss right as it pops, you can usually kill everything or most of it in just like one Shattering Roar with the armor already in place. It's fantastic. I actually love it. It's very, very satisfying elements lurking all over the place. As for the zombies, you just kind of, you know, throw this out as you're going. And you can kind of stockpile the charges, which is, I would say, the best part of the zombies. You can stockpile them and then like run into your boss arena in a map or something like that. Have a little bit more throughput, some more minions to target. But generally speaking, it's just so much easier to stack up Unearthed minions, which is why we do that. It's much quicker. Granted, I could just be summoning regular zombies too, but I feel like that's a waste. And the problem with doing zombies all the time is if I'm making zombies, I'm not shattering ice. And in some situations, that's fine, because the minions kind of clear pretty well on their own, especially now that they've got levels in them. I can notice they're really going well on their own. I got a bunch of zombies out now. You get the Unearth going with it, and suddenly your army is like 30 minions big. And if they all stack up on a rare, it's going to die instantly. It's just how it is, right? It's too many overwhelming attacks, considering it's what, like 250 damage average on the ice? Times 30, that's 7,500 base damage. Sounds good. Certainly doesn't seem bad. Oop, I made a portal. And sometimes that'll happen. I didn't even do the combo on that rare. They just overwhelmed it. They get it done. Damage on top of damage on top of damage, which is kind of what you need, because when you run into something tough... Oh, well, I tried cursing that guy because I thought he was going to be tougher than that, but...
Another corpse to serve me.
So upgrades going forward, obviously I could get a slightly better... Checkpoint. Obviously I could get a slightly better scepter, right? I could get one that gives me more spirit for additional minions. I could also get one with +4. I could get one with more damage. I could get one with better secondary stats, like attack speed, cast speed, crit damage, all the goodies. There's lots of options for improvement on the build right now. I've just kind of been getting the priority stats going, which, admittedly, the scepter was a bit expensive, but if I had as much money as I did, kind of rushing through the campaign a little bit, half rushing, I assume people are going to have their own somewhat, you know, generous stockpile of cash, unless you've been spending tons of money to get through it, in which case, damn. Yeah, I didn't spend any money getting through the campaign. I was solo self on the whole way. So, I'd say that's a bit of a point of pride, that the build was able to do that just fine. It generally doesn't need much help, but if you're newer to the game, you might make missteps along the way and not have the same experience. The, oh. And he's dead. Nice. For a little while, I had elemental focus on my brutes, and the problem with that was they could no longer freeze. It was just a good damage support that I had lying around, and I went through a weird support gem drought. I'm kind of still in it, but like I'm getting onto the other side of it now, where my gems are finalized and correct. But man, they made those things way less common. Get a little bit of juice. He's running around doing nothing. I almost forgot the shrine, which would have been nice. Alright, and that is the build currently. We have a lot of things to look into yet, like secondary stats, unique abyss mods, which are out there. I believe on my amulet here I have an abyss mod that makes auras have stronger magnitude. That's pretty cool. And just all of the lineage supports. I haven't really looked into those yet. Obviously I had one drop for me that was relevant. That was very fortunate. But there's a lot to look into yet for the build that may affect its power going forward. Well, I shouldn't say may, that will.
I think not.
I think it's capable of a lot more than even I've kind of formulated so far. As a final note, there were plans for like a snap combo. That's not off the table, especially right now when my current scepter actually just has 100 spirit. I could very easily fit that in, where I would have a swap. And I would just be able to, like, do damage, and my minions would get a little weaker for a second. But it's kind of on the back burner right now while we're trying to get everything else figured out, because there is just a lot to go through in this game right now. So, closing thoughts. Build feels really good now. It's definitely chewing through content without much care. My equipment is still not very good, right? I mean, I'm not even properly res capped on lightning. I'm not res capped on chaos, so that's going to be a lot of power gain. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do for my third ascendancy yet. Obviously, I could give up life for spirit. I could give up life for mana. I could give up life, or I could give up life for energy shield. There's a high possibility I just grab Bringer Flame and see if the ignite is worth anything. Could maybe go for Pyromantic Pact and try to use that to solve mana issues. I could also just go for one of these, which is also very possible. Overall, though, right now, the build, we're just trying to get our equipment squared away and see how far it can go before it hits a wall in maps. Which probably The damage I don't think is going to feel that, because again, this says level 20, but the gem level is 14, right? It's going to be level 26 with full investment. A lot of these need support gems yet to reach their full potential, and there's a little bit of optimization I think that needs to happen yet with Unearth. In fact, I'm going to do this right now. Make meat shield, and see how that does going forward. Not right now, obviously. I got to wrap this video up. I hope you're having a good one. POB will be down below with kind of my my general stuff, how it's all working. Some pieces of gear, I think the amulet and the gloves don't show up, but my gloves suck, and my amulet isn't very good either, so I wouldn't even recommend to follow those items even a little bit, because they're just what I have right now. And I will see you later, probably around the time I'm hitting, you know, level 85. There'll be an update, talk about what I've done to improve the build from there. I want to get a little bit of damage here, and then I think I might grab Mental Perseverance and Adverse Growth because of these nodes on the way, and get 18% of damage going through mana. I think that's going to be good because I don't seem to need to dump my mana all that much. Even with all of the changes, my mana seems pretty stable. I think I can get away with it, and that would be a very big, like, general increase to the character's HP, and it would open up the option for me to, like, go in and start investing in proper mana regeneration, which this will give me a decent amount of that, and then I could also go grab Arcane Blossom, and maybe at that point, mana is super comfy, plus it's a part of our defensive layer, and wouldn't that be nice? Because so far, the build is actually getting very cozy, and I like that a lot. It's something I can recommend about it, at least. So we'll see how far that goes, because PoE 2 is the Wild West right now. We don't know how anything's going to go. Anyway, have a good one, Exiles.